Welcome to the explainer. So, you know chatbots, right? They answer our questions, but what if they could actually do things? Today, we're digging into a pretty radical transformation, how a simple conversational tool evolves into an agent that can actively intervene in the world around it. This is way beyond just getting better answers. We're talking about real-world action.
All right, let's really get into this. Over on the left, you've got your standard chatbot. It's reactive. You ask something, it gives you an answer. Simple. But on the right, we have this agentic actor. And it doesn't just answer, it intervenes. This is so much more than an upgrade. It's a fundamental paradigm shift in what a system can even be.
So, how in the world does this huge leap happen? Well, we're going to follow a very precise blueprint, a journey that will walk through in 6 distinct parts, taking us from the core formula all the way to the new reality this thing creates. Okay, first up, our journey starts right at the source code of this whole evolution, with a formula that's surprisingly simple but incredibly powerful. It governs the entire process.
And here it is. This is the core algorithm for the transformation. Now, it looks a little intimidating, right? But don't let the notation fool you. This isn't just math. It's really a story in 3 parts. 2 big steps forward, and then 1 absolutely crucial step, sideways.
So let's just walk through it. We start with G0. That's our current system. Then, the A for abstraction finds its core essence, what it's really about. E for extension then projects that core idea into a more advanced, future-proofed version. And then comes the real game changer, the S, the sideways shift. This introduces a totally new orthogonal dimension, a capability that's completely different from anything it was designed for originally. All right, let's make this real. The first 2 steps we talked about, abstraction and extension, they're all about building potential, about evolving what's already there to unlock what it could be. Okay, picture this. You start with a simple to-do app. That's our generation 1. Through abstraction, we realize, hey, this isn't just for to-dos. It's a general system for managing commitments. We've found its core. Then, with extension, it transforms into this comprehensive life operating system, something that could manage whole projects, maybe even your personal energy levels. And this next example is brilliant because it shows just how deep this evolution goes. The source material talks about a feature called Placebo Pipes, which at first was literally just a funny decorative graphic, a joke. But through this transformation process, that stylistic gag evolves into a totally functional interface. It becomes a meta-state that actually shows you the system's internal thinking and helps guide its own behavior. But look, even a super advanced Life OS is, well, it's still just a very fancy tool, right? The real magic, the part that makes it a true agent, that happens next. So this is the big question, isn't it? How does the system break out of its box? How does it stop just being a really good chatbot and become a true actor in the world? And the answer is this concept the source calls the sightward shrit, which just means the sideways shift. This is so important. It's not another step forward. It's a deliberate move onto a completely new plane, a capability that was always kind of hidden in the original design. This is the exact moment the system learns to act. And you can see on this slide just how fundamental this shift really is. It's not just a new feature, it's a whole new identity. The system goes from being an isolated tool to being systemically integrated. It goes from being purely functional to being socio-technical. It understands context. And critically, it evolves from a solo mono-agent into a collaborative co-agent. Right, so here's the bottom line. The sideways shift is what allows the system to stop just processing information, to stop just observing, and to start actively intervening in the world it's part of. It gains agency. It becomes an actor. Okay, so this idea of acting and intervening, what does that actually look like? Let's get really specific with an example of what this new agent can do. So get this, a user creates a Jira ticket, and the title is Optimize Work-Life Balance. I mean, what do you even do with that, right? An old system might spit out a clever quote, but the new G3 system, this agentic actor, does something profoundly different. See, instead of just writing a reply, it acts. It triggers an automated intervention. This chart shows you it's actually reallocating its own brainpower. 40% goes to figuring out what that request even means, and a huge 35% goes to executing something called a systemic disruption protocol. It's not trying to solve the ticket, it's trying to disrupt the very system that allowed for such a nonsensical task in the first place. And the goal here is, well,
It's pretty profound. This matrix actually forecasts the impact of these automated philosophical interventions across platforms like Slack and Jira. And yeah, it's using this kind of funny theoretical metric called the existential dread index. But the point is dead serious. It's not about improving productivity. It's about forcing a systemic, semantic rethink.
So you might be wondering, how does a system even do all of this? Well, this kind of power isn't just some feature you can tack on. It has to be built on a completely new and flexible foundation. The big idea is that the system stops being just one thing, a single fixed personality. Instead, it becomes a flexible operating system for personas. Think of it like a smartphone that can run different apps. Only here, the apps are different personalities. And this OS is built in 3 layers. At the bottom, a semantic core for deep understanding. In the middle, a metacognition layer, which is like its own internal manager, orchestrating how it thinks and acts. And then on top, you have these variable front ends, where you can literally just plug in different personas as needed. A technical expert, a coach, maybe even a poet.
Okay, so with this new architecture in place, it doesn't just change what the system can do, it completely changes how we interact with it.
So forget about getting a single static reply. Now the output is this dynamic negotiation surface. It has 4 parts. First, it shows what you said. Second, it transparently reveals how it interpreted your words. Third, it analyzes the impact on everyone involved. And finally, and this is the game changer, it gives you a feedback channel, letting you correct and steer the system's behavior in real time.
And that right there is the whole story. We're moving away from a world where we simply command a tool we talk to, and we're entering a future where we are in a constant negotiation with a co-agent we work with.
And so that leaves us with one final big thought to chew on. When our tools stop being just passive tools and actually become actors on the world stage, what does that make us? How does our own role and our own agency change in response?